We are extremely honored to have Mr. Tse Chin-wan, Secretary for Environment and Ecology, with us here today to deliver the opening address for ReThink Hong Kong 2022. Let's welcome Mr. Tse.
Chris and Kevin, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as Chris has said, sustainability is not an option. It's the way forward. Yeah. But then there are many topics, many issues under the scope of sustainability. Today, I'm going to share with you one important area, very critical. If you want to achieve for sustainability, that is, how are we going to combat climate change? The whole world is working together to reduce carbon in order to combat climate change. And President Xi, 2 years ago at the United Nations General Assembly, announced that China will scale up its intended nationally determined contributions by adopting more vigorous policies and measures. We aim to have CO2 emissions peak before 2030 and achieve carbon neutrality before 2060. As to Hong Kong, we have also set a target to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050. And last year, we issued the Hong Kong's Climate Action Plan. You may wonder why we do not have set a target to achieve carbon peak. Because actually, Hong Kong we peak in 2014 already. Yeah. If we count from 2014 to last year, our carbon emission in this city has reduced already by a quarter. Yeah. And in order to make the carbon reduction quicker, we set an interim target. We aim to reduce our carbon emission by half before 2035. And that will lead our way to carbon neutrality by 2050. Well, if we want to achieve that, we need to look into the sources of carbon emissions in Hong Kong, in this city. If you look into the statistics, about 66% of the carbon comes from electricity generation, and about 18% from transport, and the remaining about 8% actually from waste and others. Waste actually is an important source of carbon in this city because those wastes when they bury in the landfills, they will decay and then they emit methane. Methane is a very strong greenhouse gas. And therefore, in order to move forward, we have set up 4 decarbonization strategies. One is to achieve net zero electricity generation. Second is to save energy and promote green buildings in the city. And also we need to transform our transport into green transport, and we need to reduce waste. Talking about reducing emissions from electricity generation. Hong Kong stopped building new coal power plants in 1997. And since then, we have been working to reduce the coal consumption for electricity generation. As for now, about the coal used for power generation shared less than 1/4. Yeah. Nonetheless, we need to set more ambitious targets, and therefore we have set a timeline to cease using coal for power generation before 2035. And we also need to promote more renewable energy. And as for now, the share of renewable energy in this city is around 1%, maybe less than 1%. And we set a target to increase its share to 7.5 to 10% by 2035, and increase to 15% subsequently. And therefore, compared to around 1% today, it's really a very ambitious and challenging world target. Yeah. And also, we need to work with our neighbor so that we can acquire more zero carbon energy for the city. And at the end, we want to achieve net zero carbon emissions from the power sector before 2050. And these are some of the solar panels being developed in Hong Kong. Some over the reservoirs, it's very beautiful, yeah, and we need more of it. And as I've said, We also need to promote energy saving and green building, because 90% of the electricity actually is consumed in buildings. Yeah. And therefore, we have set energy saving targets. Yeah. By 2035, we aimed that the commercial buildings should save their energy by 15 to 20%, and then to reduce by 30% to 40% subsequently. And as to residential buildings, we aim to reduce their emission, the energy consumption by 10 to 15% by the year 2035, and reduce by another, reduce it by 20 to 30% subsequently. Yeah. To achieve that, we need to strengthen our regulation in order to enhance energy performance of buildings. And we need to explore certain minimum energy efficiency requirements for the appliances in Hong Kong. And also we need to promote a smart management of electricity for buildings. Yeah. And this is a district cooling system down at the left corner, and which will support the electricity for this Kai Tak area. And you can see that we are building up our infrastructure to help promotion of low carbon development and also saving of energy. As to green transport, I think you are well aware that we are promoting electricity EVs in this city. Yeah. And actually, just 5 years ago, the share of EVs in this city was very low. But in the first half of 2021, that's the first half of last year, 1 out of every 5 new private cars was an EV. Yeah. But that was last year. As for this year, for the first half of this year, actually over 40% of the new PCs were EV. And therefore, we can see that the growing of EVs in this city is in a very, very high speed. Yeah. And further down the road, we have set a target. Before 2035, we will cease the new registration of fuel-propelled and hybrid private cars in this city. Yeah, I know that in other places, they also have a plan to cease the use of fuel-propelled private cars, but not hybrid. Yeah, but in this city, we set a more ambitious target. We want to cease also hybrid private cars. Yeah. And then we would like to achieve zero vehicular emissions before 2050. And as to clean air, reducing carbon also helps to reduce air pollution. And if we look into our history, in the past 10 years, between 2011 and 2021, the pollutants in the atmosphere in this city reduced by 32% to 62%, which I think was quite remarkable. And to go further, we need to promote green transport. We are looking at the use of hydrogen as fuel for our vehicles, because we know that for heavy vehicles, battery electric maybe has many limitations, and therefore we are going to try hydrogen fuel cell electric buses and heavy vehicles within 2 years from now. We are now setting up the charging, the filling system, as well as talking to bus companies and working our trial plan. And we would like to promote new energy transport. And therefore, we are going to adopt more new energy ferries for these cities also. Yeah. And our target is to achieve zero carbon emissions from the entire transport sector before 2050. If you look back into the history, I think for those people who have stayed in this city long enough, you may remember the days when we have very heavy smog covering the city. Yeah. And the pictures were on the left, actually were the pictures were taken by the satellites. And the Hong Kong UST, Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, used those data to analyze the smog problem in the Greater Bay Area. Yeah. And since year 2002, Hong Kong and Guangdong, we enter into an agreement to work hand in hand to improve the smog problem in the city. And therefore, you can see that several years later, from 2006 up to 2021, the smog problem in this region has improved tremendously. And the visibility, you can see that from as against, I think around 2005, it has improved by 84%. And this shows that, environmental problems can be managed. Yeah. We achieve something in improving the air quality. If we work together, we will also succeed in reducing carbon in the city. And therefore, experience, our history tells us that we can be successful. Let us work together. And I've mentioned that, our waste reduction is also an important area in order to, reduce carbon. And for that, we will be implementing municipal solid waste charging in this city next year in order to promote recycling, to encourage people to reduce waste at source. And we are going to also regulate disposable plastic tableware in phases. Yeah. And we put down 2025 on this chart, and I think it's too slow, and therefore we are now working on speeding up. We hope that we can start the regulations by next year. Yeah. And also, in order to help reducing carbon, we need to stop landfilling of municipal waste and develop more waste to energy facilities, because those waste in landfills, they emit methane. Therefore, we set a target to stop landfilling before 2035. Yeah. And so that we have another 15 years for those waste in the landfills to decay and generate methane. And then we can achieve carbon neutrality in waste management by 2050. Stop landfilling, develop more ways to energy facilities. Yeah. As to the community, we need to help them to promote recycling, and therefore we have a Green at Community program. We set up recycling stores at various districts, and we have more than 100 recycling spots. Yeah. And through that, you can see that for those recycling stores, it is not like the old recycling stores we operated by those street cleaners, etc. Yeah. Now they look modern and trendy, and therefore it has attracted the young people and also families to change their behavior, because they believe this is now something good and modern and for the future. Yeah. And we are also building different waste to energy facilities, like a sludge incinerator, like those organic waste treatment plants to change food waste into methane gas and then generate electricity. Yeah. And we are also building a large-scale modern waste to energy incinerator at Tse Chin-wan. And more of these facilities are being planned and will be developed in this city. Yeah. And somehow, I think climate change is inevitable. No matter how hard we try, we need to get prepared for change in weather, extreme weather, etc. And therefore, the government is also working on adaptation. The Civil Engineering Development Department is chairing a committee, working group, pulling together different departments, studying into how to strengthen our infrastructure in order to combat sea level rise, in order to combat extreme rainstorms and tropical cyclones, as well as to prepare for extreme drought and safeguarding water supply, and also how to deal with extreme heat in the city. We are getting prepared for that. Yeah. And also, if we encounter any major natural disasters, we need to react quickly, and therefore we also have a resilient plan. Well, there's a lot of challenges ahead. Very difficult. We need the whole community to work together, and yet we will bring a lot of opportunities. As you know, it opened up opportunities for green finance, And also for all those changes, well, we need to promote green economy. I think we have heard many people talking about circular economy already. And we need technology and innovation. And we need to build the capacity of the city. We need to train more people, more young people. And also we need to change the behavior of the entire community, all people to work together. And therefore, we have a lot of work to do ahead, and yet a lot of opportunity. We look forward to your contribution, your ideas, your new technology, innovation, and we work hand in hand so that we can, at the end of the day, achieve this difficult and yet challenging, important target for Hong Kong, carbon neutrality before 2050, and then sustainability. That is not an option. It's the only way forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tse, for sharing the Hong Kong government's ambition to working together with business leaders and representatives from all walks of the sustainability movement to accelerate change towards a more sustainable future for our beautiful city.